Good morning and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. Yesterday I described the high priestly prayer we looked at as something akin to Jesus' last words. Perhaps it might have been better described as more like Jesus' last will and testament for his disciples and followers. In a sense, Jesus was bequeathing them a new and deep relationship with God that would support and hold them in faith through all that was to come with his death and through their lives of faith too. After that, Jesus and the disciples went out to the Garden of Gethsemane. Today we turn to some words that came a little after that prayer, once Jesus was in the garden. Last week and this week we're looking at some of the top 10 prayers in the Bible, and while we focused on the Old Testament last week, this week the prayers come from the New Testament. And today we get to the prayer that most of us feel a connection with. The prayer Jesus prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane as Jesus prayed that his suffering and death might not be something he have to endure. And we can understand that. Remember that Jesus knew what was coming, and that while he was fully God, he was also fully human. Crucifixion is an ugly, painful way to die. In fact, we even carry how painful it was in our language to this day. Crucifixion is the root of the word excruciating. Jesus knew he was about to go through excruciating pain. And of course, it only makes sense that he would want to avoid that if he could. To make matters worse, as he prays, he knows that Judas is on the way to betray him to soldiers and guards, commencing the whole process, and how that betrayal must have deeply grieved Jesus. And then to make matters even worse, in this hour of his deepest need, even his closest friends betray him as well. "Stay here with me while I pray," he implored them, but they fell asleep over and over. I understand that part. I think about Thanksgiving afternoon after I've had the chance to eat a big Thanksgiving dinner. It's hard to stay awake. Well, these disciples had just eaten the Passover meal. They were full and content, and even if they should have been, they were unaware of what was happening all around them. So in the one moment when Jesus needed them the most, they weren't available. It was another stab at Jesus' heart. So we understand how Jesus wanted to avoid his excruciating death, and we can understand why those disciples might have fallen asleep. What is harder to understand is the content of Jesus' prayer. "Not my will, but your will be done." The song is called Amazing Grace, and I think amazing is the only word we can use to describe what happens here. Knowing what is coming, Jesus adheres to God's path. Amazing grace, amazing love, and amazing trust. And when you really think about it, you are struck by just how far God will go to claim us. Way back in Genesis, God told Abraham that he did not require child sacrifice. And yet what God did not demand of us, he offered of himself in order to claim us forever. It's an amazing, astounding love. Perhaps in our prayers we sometimes offer a "thy will be done," and probably most of the times we mean it. But it's not often that we face such titanic issues, and it's not often that we are called on to trust that deeply. But Jesus did. In love for us, Jesus gave himself. Amazing love. Amazing grace. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.